Okay guys, so we're gonna do another book haul because I looked at my TBR shelf and I figured that I had way too many books already, so the only logical thing to do was buy more. I hope you all are staying safe and healthy while we are all trying to isolate right now. I won't use the word because we're all sick of hearing it, but I'm going to put up this video for you guys so that you can see the books that I have hauled in the last couple of weeks. The first one that we have is 3 by Ted Dekker, which is a thriller, and I'm not a big thriller fan. However, I am a big Ted Dekker fan, so I figured I would give it a shot. This book basically follows a guy who is given an ultimatum that if he doesn't confess this horrible sin that he's done to the entire world within a certain amount of time, awful things are going to happen. So, I was curious. It's a Ted Dekker book. I found it at Goodwill. I don't think I need to say anything else. The next one I picked up was Ready Player One by Ernest, Cline. I saw the movie a while ago. I actually kind of enjoyed it, which surprised me. And I thought, well, you know, usually the book is better than the movie, and if I liked the movie, I'll probably like the book. So this takes place in a virtual world, and people are getting way too drawn into the gaming system of this futuristic society, and it's interesting. I liked the movie, and I'm excited to read the book. The next one I got was Hold On But Don't Hold Still by Kristina Kuzmic. I think she's really funny, and she's also a mom, and I needed a good laugh, so this was a book that is being raved about by everybody who's been reading it, and it's a little bit of life and motherhood, but also some wisdom from life in general, and I'm looking forward to reading it. She's got a great sense of humor. The next book I got was The Bright Edge of the World by Eowyn Ivey. Eowyn Ivey is a really cool name. Just thought I'd point that out. This book is a book that follows a colonel who takes a group of men into an expedition into, I believe, Alaska. Yes, Untamed Alaska. And he writes all of his experiences down in a journal that he's hoping if something happens to him, his journal will make it back to his now pregnant wife that he left behind. I'm guessing it's gonna hit me in the feels. I finally did it, you guys. I finally succumbed to all of the pressure, and I bought book number 1 of the Stormlight Archive by Brandon Sanderson, The Way of Kings. I cannot tell you how many people have been telling me I need to read this series. And in my defense, the only reason why I wasn't reading it yet is honestly just because I know that it's only 3 books long and he intends to write 10 of them. I know Brandon Sanderson is a machine, but I figured I'd let him get a little bit farther before I started reading these because I didn't want to have to wait a really long time for the end of the series. Shout out to my Kingkiller Chronicles fans. I'm so sorry. My heart goes out to you. However, I realize that Brandon Sanderson is definitely not going to be taking a long time to finish this series, and I also found out that apparently he's breaking the series up into 2 groups of 5, so the first 5 are kind of one era, and then he's moving on to the future with the next 5. Book 4 is coming out later this year, so realistically I probably won't have to wait that long anymore, and I figured I might as well dive into these now to see what all the fuss is about, because apparently these are the most amazing thing ever. The next one I picked up is an old classic fantasy. I think it's old. I better actually check. 1998. I don't know if I want to call it a classic because it's not as old as I am, but The Green Rider by Kristen, and this is one that I saw randomly on somebody's Goodreads review, and I wanted to pick up an older classic book just to kind of compare and see what things have changed in the last decade or so, 2 decades. As long as I'm getting started with Brent Weeks' canon of work with the Lightbringer trilogy, I figured I might as well grab The Way of Shadows, which is one of his earlier novels. It's the Night Angel trilogy about this assassin, and it follows the city's most accomplished assassin. So it's an assassin trope, which, you know, I do enjoy those, so I figured I would give it a shot. I thought Brent Weeks was a very interesting person when he was interviewed by Daniel Green a while back. I watched the interview, thought he was really cool, and I'm interested in checking out some of his earlier works as well. Okay, this is book number 3 of the Wolf of the North trilogy by Duncan Hamilton. I read his Dragon Slayer trilogy earlier this month, and I submitted a review of his advanced reader copy of book 3 of the Dragon Slayer trilogy. I really enjoyed it, and he actually contacted me on Goodreads and said thank you for reviewing my book, which was super awesome, and we had some back and forth talking about publishing and books and stuff, so it was really fun to actually get to talk to one of the authors. And I found out that he had written this trilogy called The Wolf of the North, and it sounded really interesting. I'm really curious to see what style he goes on with this one. He told me that this one's more of a coming of age kind of warrior story. I grabbed The Challenger Deep by Neal Shusterman. I have not read anything by Neal Shusterman before. I know that he is very popular with a lot of his other books, but I wasn't really interested in reading most of his like more popular going around books right now, but this one sounded kind of interesting. Caden, the main character, is on a ship in the middle of the ocean that is headed for the deepest part of the ocean. Now, I actually have a severe phobia of the ocean, so I wanted to read a book that took place in the ocean because I'm a glutton for punishment, apparently. But this one sounded really interesting. I'm really curious to see. I think it's more of a middle grade feel, so I wanted to pick up some more middle grade because we're still in March and I'm jumping on the bandwagon now that it's halfway done with the month, but I really want to read some middle grade in March. The next book that I got for my kids was 10 Little Ninjas by Miranda Paul. This is adorable. It's a take on 10 little monkeys jumping on the bed. The kids are all playing different characters and the mom is trying to get them into bed, and it's adorable. If you have little kids, this is a really fun one, and it's also very colorful. River into Darkness by Sean Russell. This one covers like the last days of the mages in this world, and there's only one mage left. The main character is trying to eliminate all traces of magic in this world, and of course there are people that oppose that. It had some pretty good reviews on Goodreads, so I'm curious. Also, this cover is pretty bomb, I'm not gonna lie, I like it. The next two books I picked up were AD 30 and AD 33. These are Christian fiction novels by Ted Dekker. I have read AD 30 already, I have not read AD 33, but I really enjoyed this. This has kind of the similar flavor to a lot of Francine Rivers' work. It's very gritty, very realistic. The characters go through some really hard things, but the faith is interwoven into the story in a way that's not like fluffy and preachy, which I really appreciate. All Are Wrong Today is by Elan Mustai? I don't know. I can't pronounce names, guys. I'm so sorry. The main character lives in a 2016 that is actually the way that people in the 1950s imagined the future would be like, and there's a time travel element, and this one just kind of sounded interesting. It was a little bit different than what I typically read, and the premise of the book caught my interest. So we're gonna check this one out. I have been on a graphic novel kick lately where I really want to get into reading some awesome graphic novels. If you have any recommendations for graphic novels that are really solid storylines and beautiful artwork, please put them down in the comments below because I love graphic novels and I haven't read any for quite a while, so I really wanted to get back into them. I bought Estranged by Ethan Aldridge, and this one is kind of a fantasy, like fairies and humans take on a Prince and the Pauper theme from what I can tell, and that really piqued my interest because I love the whole like parallel characters kind of vibe, and I'm really excited to read this. The artwork in this book is really, really beautiful. I love the style of it. That cover is definitely one of the first things that drew me to this. So this was another Bookoutlet pickup, and I know that they still have copies of it. Check it out. The next book I got was Starfish by Akemi Bowman. Now this one sounds really interesting to me, and it's kind of, I'm not sure if it's middle grade or YA. This one follows a protagonist named Kiko, who is a half Japanese young woman who is trying to make it into her dream art school, and she has kind of some problems at home, and she has a history of some abuse, and she's trying to reach her dreams of being a artist. And so this one kind of piqued my interest. I'm really curious to read it. The cover is absolutely beautiful. It was very highly praised when I was looking up reviews of it. Okay, the last two on my haul are Eragon and Eldest hardcovers. Now these, I think I actually owned these a long time ago, and for some reason I didn't keep them. Now here's the thing. I know that Eragon gets a lot of hate. These books were written by a 16-year-old, okay? So, first of all, props to Christopher Paolini. I was also a homeschooled child author, so I totally understand the kind of pressure that happens with that, and it's like, it's not a joke, you guys. So the fact that he wrote and finished a set of 4 books starting that young is pretty amazing. And even though it's a pretty basic hero's journey format, it is a really good start for especially younger readers who are starting to get into some of that YA fantasy kind of world. I'm actually picking these up so that my son has them when he's a little bit older, because I do feel like these are a really solid series for a younger fantasy reader. Okay, those are all the books that I have hauled in the last couple of weeks, so I hope that you guys enjoyed this video. Let me know if you've read any of these down in the comments and which ones sounded most interesting to you. Over the past couple of months, I really appreciate all of the support and the encouragement and interaction that you guys have been giving my channel. I appreciate that so much. So thank you from the bottom of my heart. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next video.